right, up next we have House Bill 139 by Representative Henry. We'll wait while he walks to the front.
There you go. Good morning.
Good morning.
Y'all know it's my first day back. Anyway, thank you, Chair, for giving me the opportunity to present this bill. This is a very good bill, and it's a simple bill. It's not a complicated bill. The bill simply says that an act relating to the National Statutory Hall requesting the Joint Committee on the Library of Congress to approve the replacement of the statue of Confederate General Edmund Kirby Smith in the National Statutory Hall of Collection with a statue of Mary McLeod Bethune. Back in March of 2016, the legislation passed and said that this statue would be replaced, and the governor signed it. Of the 3 prominent Florida citizens that were recommended, Mary McLeod Bethune was unanimously chosen by this committee. So this is a very good bill, and I'm asking you guys to support it. Thank you.
Excellent. Having explained the bill, we're going to move to amendments. I believe you have amendment barcode 464343. Recognized.
Thank you. Simple amendment. We can look at this amendment as a kind of like an implementing amendment. It says that a duly authorized state official must submit the state request to replace the statue, and basically this amendment would allow the state to replace the statue. And that's the amendment.
Excellent. Members, questions on the amendment? Seeing no questions, public testimony on the amendment. Seeing none, members in debate. Seeing no debate, recognize to close. Waive and close. All those in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We'll show that amendment adopted. Back on the bill as amended. Members, questions on the bill as amended? All right. Seeing no questions, I have some public testimony. We've got Mario Bailey on behalf of Bethune-Cookman University. Excellent. Waves and support. Other public testimony? Seeing none, members in debate. Yes. Representative Smith.
Thank you for bringing this forward. I think this is a great way to start committee weeks. I think it's important that everyone understands that we shouldn't ever try to forget or erase our country's shameful history, but we also need to not ever glorify it or glorify that history in any way, which is an important part of learning about our past and learning from the past. I think Confederate statues like the one we're replacing or trying to replace with this bill belong in a museum so that we can learn more from our past instead of glorifying it. I want to applaud you for bringing this forward. I applaud the leadership for bringing this as one of the first bills that we consider in this committee, and I will be standing in strong support of it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I too would like to thank the committee for having the mindset to bring this bill forward, the first bill in our committee hearing for our 2018 session. I want to thank Rep. Henry for your strong support and never giving up and never surrendering. I think it's the right thing to do. Ms. Mary McLeod Bethune stood for civil rights. It's the basic human rights that people were fighting for equality and fairness. And I think she'll be an excellent representation for the state. Thank you, Mr. Henry.
Further debate. Representative Comby, Chairman Comby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Many of you know I'm from Lakeland, Florida. And probably the best thing that ever happened to Lakeland, Florida was George Jenkins and the founding of Public Supermarkets. That company, which is the premier grocer in Florida, has done more to improve lives in my part of the world than any other single company or group that I can think of. And but when I think about Publix and what Mr. Jenkins did, Mr. George, as everybody referred to him. He was doing it certainly to improve lives, but he was doing it to make a profit, which I think is wonderful, and I support wholeheartedly. When I look at this controversy that surrounded Statuary Hall, I really didn't know who was there up until a couple of years ago. John Gorey, who's credited with inventing air conditioning, and on a day like today, I think he deserves to be there. And hopefully we're going to get a little bit of fall before long, but air conditioning is certainly a wonderful thing. But and then General Edmund Kirby Smith, who I'd never heard of till a couple of years ago. But I remember Representative Pepe Diaz on the House floor talking about what he learned about General Edmund Kirby Smith and what he went on to do in his life and later in life, and what a great guy he was. And I thought, it's great to hear that, and most of us would have never known had this subject not came up. But then I look at the candidates here, and when you look at Mary McLeod Bethune, it's clear that her life was devoted to improving people's lives. And I don't think there's any question about it when you look, at least in the information that's been provided to me, and I'm sure the committee had more than what we have here today, but there's no question that was, she may have been our own little version of Mother Teresa right here in the state of Florida when you look at her work. I was sold when I read that she was a graduate of the Moody Bible Institute. I'm a big fan of Dwight L. Moody and Erwin Lutzer, by the way. Some of you may not be, but Sunday mornings, if you don't have anything to do around 11 o'clock, turn your radio on to 91.1 if you're in Central Florida, and you can listen to Erwin Lutzer for a little while longer anyway. But I think this is appropriate. I thought about who would I pick if it was up to me to select someone to replace General Edmund Kirby Smith. And I don't know. I'm glad there was a committee that was willing to take the time and consider those folks that were nominated and names that were submitted that were worthy. But it appears that Mary McLeod Bethune is as worthy as anyone I can think of. So I will support the bill.
Further debate. Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to share a few facts with you before I sit down. This bill passed last year in 3 committees, I believe, in the Senate, unanimously. And I just want to tell you a little bit about Mary McLeod Bethune firsthand. She not only founded Bethune-Cookman University, which I'm a proud graduate of, but she was the first African-American woman that had a federal agency. There's so many things I could go down the list and tell you about this great woman, but some of you may not also know that this will be no cost to the state because the school has agreed to provide the statue. And she would be the first African-American to be in Statuary Hall. So we can do something historic here today by supporting this bill. The state of Florida can set a precedent and say, hey, we're going to stand up and vote for this, and we will have the first African-American represented in the Statuary Hall if we support this bill. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Henry. Having closed, Lisa, will you call the vote?
Representatives Abruzzo? Yes. Albritton? Yes. Cumby? Yes. Drake? Yes. Fant? No. Henry?
Yes.
Jacobs? Yes. LaValla? Yes. McLean? Yes. Newton? Yes. Pigman? Yes. Plagan? Yes. Roshine? Yes. Rommel? Yes. Santiago? Yes. Smith? Yes. Stone? Yes. B. Watson? Yes. Wilhite? Yes. Williamson? Yes. Chair Caldwell?
Yes.
20 yeas, 1 nay, Mr. Chair.
And members, by your vote, will show House Bill 139 reported favorably. Thank you,
Thank you.
Representative Henry. All right, members.